What is up, nerds? It's me, HeyArcher. Welcome back to my channel. Special episode of HeyArcher today, episode 178. You're welcome. You're getting 2 episodes this week. And actually, I have a special guest. I have my second guest, actually, all time on the HeyArcher show. Let me introduce all of you to my good friend, Anthony, who's a fellow nerd, a veteran, and overall good dude. So, Anthony, welcome to the show. How art thou today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, and thank you for the nice compliments.
Yeah. None of that was true. I was just trying to make you look good on the internet.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point.
It's true. It's all about faking it till you make it.
Exactly. And you're way ahead of me on that. I still haven't gotten that down.
Practice, John. Practice.
Yeah.
So, so you have been a listener of the show for a while. We've been friends for even longer than that, and
Yep.
we chop up all things nerdy, of course. So what I usually like to do, and by usual I mean the one other time I had a guest, is I like to ask, what is it that got you into the nerd world overall? Was there like one either comic or movie or a character? What was it that kind of turned you into the nerd you currently are?
Definitely started with Batman the Animated Series in the 90s, because I would come to my grandparents' house, and it was always, okay, you can have a snack after school, and you can watch the cartoon, half an hour spent in front of the TV, watching that show, got hooked ever since, and yeah, for the long time, that was it, like the TV shows and any of the old cartoons. And then with our other friend, one day, I don't know if I can mention his name, with our other buddy, one day I was at a store and they had like, how they have like the random rack of comics that have come out that month.
Yeah.
I picked up a Batman, of course, and and I'm like, oh, this, I didn't know that, I didn't know anything. I didn't read them. Really, I was never into them. I just did the cartoons rather. And I was in the middle of a story, Bruce Wayne Fugitive, which was the sequel, I guess, to Bruce Wayne Murderer, where, like, spoiler, I guess I should say, in that series, you find out Lex Luthor was pissed off that Bruce Wayne bailed out Gotham City after No Man's Land, frames him for murder. He really gets even darker, kind of, and is like, okay, well, Bruce Wayne's on the run, I'm just Batman now, that's it. And that led into Bruce Wayne Fugitive, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I was just completely lost, and then I was like, what do I do? How do I find what the hell's going on? And our friend and my older brother was like, there are comic book stores, right? And I was like, oh. So really I got into this whole thing because I guess maybe I'm slightly OCD. I just had to know what was going on, and then it snowballed from there. I just kept it going. Generally stayed with the big ones, Batman, Nightwing, Spider-Man, not Avengers so much until the new Avengers came out. But yeah, just kind of snowballed from there. Slight OCD, and then just enjoying them.
And you're talking, I'll jump back for a second. For the Avengers, the new Avengers, you mean like the series New Avengers, or like when Marvel like rebooted everything like the first time or maybe the second time? Or
I guess it would be the first time. I started reading. All right, so I'm guilty. I saw, when I was in the comic book store, I saw Avengers Disassembled, like that, those issues, and I knew it was leading into a 500 or whatever milestone number was going to be the end of that iteration. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I should definitely pick this up. And I liked the story, and then, like I say, I followed that up with New Avengers because it was going to be a number one, not realizing that a trend of, okay, we got a new writer, it's going to be a number one starting over would be the thing. But then that's how I got into the Avengers, and that actually led me, you would have thought this would have come first, but that led me into Captain America around the time that Civil War and everything. So you know what happened all through that, and that kept going from there.
comic or movie Civil War?
Comic Civil War.
Got it.
Comics were all first because this had to be, now this was in the early 2000s. So
Yeah.
we just had the Raimi Spider-Man films, Fox's X-Men, Fantastic Four, everybody hated, and Batman. I don't think Nolan had Batman yet, so Batman was still, George Clooney with the bat nipples, and nobody talked about it openly.
That's sure. Or if they like them openly.
Yeah.
So then my standard Bruce Wayne question is, who is your definitive Bruce Wayne?
I'm gonna say Kevin Conroy from the animated series, just
Agreed.
because he had the character so long and he can do so much with it. Like all the different episodes, kind of like the movies. There was like, okay, this episode wasn't as great, or this episode was way out there. Like there was an episode. How I don't know how I should know. I don't know how well you remember the series. There was an episode where some farmer made talking animals were the bad guys, and that was like, okay, that's a pretty bad episode. But overall, especially before they did the redesign, those things were just so good, and they made them as standalone half-an-hour movies. Is what I think I remember from one of the documentaries. So yeah,
Yep.
he had so much to do with it. His Batman had so much growth and change because he was that guy for what 20 years now in animation, not counting like the animated series Beyond and Justice League.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, he's actually approaching 30 years because that was 1993,
Yes,
which is insane.
something everybody just found out. I have no concept of time, or maybe I just can't do math.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I do remember that farm episode. Actually, that was a really shitty episode.
That was a
Um,
really shitty episode, and I remember watching it, however old I was, still, and like being like, "Oh, all right, maybe this show's on the way out."
so I kind of actually I like a point you brought up there, which can actually segue us into other conversation. You mentioned that one of the things you saw in the documentary was how they treated every episode like it was a movie, and every episode like
Hmm.
it was a standalone episode. Is that something that you feel most series and shows now are doing wrong, or do you think that was just it? Do you think like Batman and like Justice League, like those shows were good for that, or do you wish those had a longer, like cohesive story, or do you wish that the shows now treated it like that, where it's like every episode's individual, or do you like that it's one big story? If that makes sense.
It does. Well, it depends. You have to like, and I won't get you into it, but this is kind of like I think I heard you say this about the new Star Wars films,
Hmm.
where they didn't have an idea, they didn't have it written out.
Right.
You know, like I feel like they had an idea for. Yeah, it didn't interconnect. There was like going back to Batman. There was only a handful of two-parters, I think, but like those were really well planned out, and like yeah, that could have been your first and last episode, or it could lead you into the other one. But it stood. Okay, it stands if it has to. It stands on its own. I think now they're not. I think they want to do that. Like there were some episodes of Titans where it was like, okay, I mean, each I guess each episode is kind of supposed to be like that, right? Because it's whatever character's name is the name of the episode. It's about them that week, right?
Yeah.
I think they're not doing it well. I think they want like they don't know what they want. They want oh, it's a long, huge, overarching story, but we got to do these really intimate character piece episodes. You know, we got to see Dick Grayson going to Titans now. We got to see him in jail torturing himself because he let Jericho die or he got Jericho killed. I don't mind if it has a longer arc. Excuse me, because like some of the TV shows I like I don't know. Have you ever seen Farscape?
No, that's on my list.
It's a sci-fi. Yeah, so it's a sci-fi show.
Hmm.
Astronaut lost in space.
Hmm.
It's like they have individual episodes, but there's still a theme throughout it. Like in the first season, it's all him trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I got to get back home. Yada yada yada. There's ways to do both well. There's ways to make okay. This is like an individual. I think anyway. Somebody who has no experience with it. There's examples though. Doing it really well where it's a one and done potentially, or you can think of it as a one and done, like with the early episodes of the animated series,
Hmm.
or like transitioning to Justice League, where maybe not the first season of Justice League, if I'm remembering right, but definitely when they went to Justice League Unlimited, and the season that led into Justice League Unlimited, they had like Cadmus was the overall bad guy throughout the story, and each individual story just fed into that. I don't know if my answer made sense or if I just lost you all your subscribers.
No, I don't think you, because I think I think all of my subscribers subscribe to this channel because I go off on tangents and rants, but you did keep the answer in there, which is essentially
Yeah.
it could be done. It has to be done well
Yeah.
if there's an actual plan.
Yeah, exactly. You need a plan. You can't just like with Titans. I think they wing it. They're winging it.
Yeah.
No pun intended for the Nightwing stuff. And same thing with Star Wars. I feel like they kind of winged it. They were just like, "Oh, it's Star Wars. It'll be fine," and that works to get people interested. But once you show us the movie, why am I here?
So
What like?
yeah, because I think the one genre that like gets it right because they all copy each other is anime. Like anime will have, I don't know if you're big into anime or not. I don't think I've ever asked you.
I was gonna say this is all on you because I have zero anime
Knowledge.
knowledge.
Gotcha. All right. So think back to let's do Teen Titans, the cartoon.
Okay.
So you remember how like the show would go and there'd be like 3 episodes or 4 episodes that like had one story, but you kept watching and the story was like progressing.
Yes. Yeah.
So what happens in anime is you'll have, let's say, let's take Dragon Ball Z for example. They'll have 100 episodes to a season, and there is one overall story that exists, but there's a whole bunch of filler as well. And the filler, the job of that is to have the characters develop. So you're seeing them train, you're seeing them interact with other people, but there's still like an overall mission that's happening. Now, what happens
Okay.
in those episodes is not crucial to the entire story, but they acknowledge that the overall story still exists. So
Okay.
it's a nice mixture of the two because even if you go online and let's say you want to get into Naruto, for example, there are people online who have built lists and they're like, all right, watch episode 1 to 5, and then you can skip to like 30 to 60 or something because all the filler is him, it's training and it's character development, but it's not essential to the story. So where Batman, I think, succeeded slightly with it was you didn't have to watch the episodes in order necessarily, but over
Yeah.
time there'd be certain callbacks where you're like, oh, that's right, this person was here before, or like they would actually even label it like a part 2, like when
Yeah.
I'm thinking right now of Man Bat, like they told you in that second appearance when it was his wife that this was like
Yes.
Man Bat or Night of the Bat part 2 or something like that.
Right.
So you
or
could
even recurring characters like Catwoman comes in,
right.
and I think her first. I think actually was the, I can't. I never remember. I used to think that Man Bat was the first episode, but I think somebody told me recently it was Red Claw.
No.
But whatever the case may be, Red Claw and also Catwoman was heavy in the episodes, and I think that was actually a two-parter also. And then later on, Catwoman obviously is a supporting character throughout that whole run. And then I think they do at least one more episode way down the line when Robin's involved more. Wait, is Robin involved more?
In when Red
That
Claw
might be
comes
wrong.
back. Yeah.
When Red Claw comes back and they have to go to Robin was involved. They
Yeah.
have to go to London. I swear, if my memory for other stuff was half as somewhat accurate as it is with this stuff, I'd be okay. But anyway, so yeah, like they set it up and they bring him back, and it's kind of like, oh, you could remember from before,
Right.
or whatever.
And they also rarely
So, yeah.
and they rarely would do an origin episode. Like the only only 2 villains I could think of off the top of my head that they did an actual like origin for and it was an amazing episode, was Heart of Ice. That one showed you
Yes.
how Freeze became Freeze. And they showed in the Clayface. Like they showed you, I don't remember if they showed you the whole episode him building to it. And Two-Face, of course. I can't believe I forgot that.
Two-Face, yep. They did. Again, this is where my memory is scary good for stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the first episode was him leading up to becoming the monster Clayface that you remember with all the powers and whatnot.
Right.
At first, he was just a guy who like rubbed some putty on his face,
And would change.
and like he was able to reshape his face. And if only it was that easy.
Yeah.
And he was a great actor and all this other stuff. Oh, by the way, I think in your episode where you talked with, I forget the other YouTuber's name,
Aaron Waller.
but when you two were talking, him, yes. I think I half remember hearing you mentioning Harley Quinn in there, the new cartoon series
Mm-hmm.
on the DC app. I actually like it. I've
Oh,
watched however many episodes, maybe not the most recent, but I'm pretty caught up. It's fun. It's funny. I don't remember. Did you watch it yet?
yeah. I've watched now. I want to say 2 episodes, and I agree. I haven't been reviewing it. I don't know why. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but what I like about it is, the first and I guess we all get kind of a lot of what Marvel has done. I think ruined us, where it's like you get into this wormhole where you think you have to watch everything because everything is somehow connected. So
Yeah,
as you're
yeah,
watching things, you're like judging it on an overall story. And the first episode of the Harley Quinn show, I was kind of like this. My brain wasn't like computing. It was like the jokes are silly. Like, why is it so gruesome? But it's a cartoon. Well, like there's too much happening for me to say like just enjoy it. And
yeah,
when I watched the second episode, oh excuse me, when I watched the second episode, that was like I sat down, I was just chilling. My brain was off. I wasn't on my phone, and I was like, oh, this is just like a fun show to watch, and it's okay to have a fun standalone show to watch where they remind you that the overall plot is Joker and Harley breaking up, but you don't really need to watch previous episodes. At least not yet. I'm only 2-3 episodes in, but you can just kind of sit there and just let your mind go and just enjoy a story of Harley, Poison Ivy, Batman.
yeah. Exactly. And actually, he hasn't even. He's been in, I think, a couple times, but in and out really quick. It's really her show, and it's good. It's fun, and it is like not in that way. It's adult. It's like
Right.
the language is adult. Some of the like. There's one episode if you haven't seen it yet. I guess I really shouldn't. Well, whatever. There's one episode. It's all in her head, and like that's kind of like you know, an adult thing they cover in there is like how you rewrite your own history to remember it a certain way, and then
Right.
when she's in her head, she sees it this event, and she's like, wait a minute, I did this. That wasn't done to me, like type of thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's I think it's a good show,
Yeah.
and I love I can't pronounce her last name, the voice of
Harley.
Harley from Big Bang Theory. So
Right. Because it's not the same.
all good.
It's not the same Harley Quinn from the animated show.
It's not the same from the animated show, and it's not the same actually Big Bang actress who did her voice in I think we talked about it. Remember the Batman and there was a Batman and Harley Quinn movie,
Oh,
animated movie,
that was the blonde
and it's
girl
the
in
one.
that one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the other one's blonde too. The short one from the show, the one who played Bernadette.
I don't remember that well.
Well,
Only because
it wasn't.
I was never a big
Sorry,
fan
go
of
ahead.
that show. But go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I was just saying I was just not a big fan of the show. Actually one of my buddies way back when was saying that Big Bang Theory was like blackface for nerds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I kind of see because I would watch it and I'd be bothered. I'm like, I don't really act like that. I mean, I'm a big
I
nerd.
mean, it definitely plays up the nerd stereotype. It's like they're still all socially awkward and whatnot. But I don't know. I enjoyed it, and actually, my grandmother loves it. So
That's hilarious.
there you go. Yeah, it was something to watch on whatever Thursday nights on Channel 2. Um, but yeah, like it's a different both two actresses from that show voiced Harley. One
Mm-hmm.
did it in the movie where they brought back the Batman the animated series the second design style,
Mm-hmm.
and then
The Adventures of
this
Batman and
one,
Robin.
yeah, The Adventures of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So two different actresses, same show, so on and so forth.
So I guess just tie a knot on the DC part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The so Aaron and I consistently talk about Titans, and you, myself, him, and another friend are the only ones I know that watch the show. And
Yes.
when I go online, I see that there are actually people out there who like it, and I've interacted with them. They say I'm crazy, that I don't know what I'm talking about. So, I guess it's a 2-part question. One,
Okay.
do you like the show? Two, in season 3, what would you want them to do differently to get you to either like it or to maintain your interest in it if you already do like it?
Um, I like it in spite of itself. I like parts of it. I like certain episodes. If that makes like I pretend like certain episodes where it's just like okay, this is all. This does nothing to like kind of like we said before. This does nothing to advance your like Deathstroke was in season 2.
Right.
This doesn't do anything to advance the Deathstroke plot. Why is this in here now? When they jump back in time, when they flash back to show the original Titans with Aqualad and Wonder Girl and all that, I thought that should have been season 2. I think we actually had this conversation. I like that. Show me that team. Show me what led to them falling apart for most of this. That could have been the entire season, and then it ends with like maybe the season 2 episode 1 was Dick with who did he have? He had Beast Boy and Raven, right? Did he have Jason Todd with him
At the end of season
in the
1.
beginning of season 2?
Oh, when he left to go to the tower. Yeah,
Yeah. When
it was Raven and Beast Boy.
right. So maybe they didn't. Maybe they shouldn't have picked up right there. Maybe they could have actually. He could have had the three of them operating as Titans, and he's still kind of like the Oracle at that point. He doesn't have a new identity. Blah blah blah. And then Destro comes back, and then we do the flashback explaining why. And the whole season then is just a flashback explaining why this guy's so bad. And I'm sure Deathstroke should have messed up Raven and Beast Boy to kind of make him have to tell them about this. It was too much like for a show that was supposed to be adult. It seemed like too much like teen angsty shit. Just like, oh, it's like your problems would be solved with a conversation. And I get it. That's the end of the episode. That's the end of the season. But it's like, how much time are you just going to stand there and like stare pensively at these people and not tell them, okay, listen, X, Y, and Z happened. So this is why this guy wants to kill us all. Even if you don't want to tell them, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen season 2, even if you don't want to tell them about how Jericho died and your involvement, like you give some information to advance, to help make them come together, even though I guess he didn't want them to come together. But anyway, sorry, to try to avoid a rant, I do like aspects of the show. I actually really like season 1. And then season 2, I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, I would watch it, and I think I would even text you and say, wait a minute, I just started episode 4. I don't remember any of the stuff they're talking about. Did I miss stuff in episode 3? And like some of it seemed like it just seemed disjointed. So if they were to tighten up the storytelling and maybe like you and I forgot his name again already. I'm sorry, the other gentleman we're talking about, if they pare it down to like Dick, Beast Boy, Superboy, I think you said Hawk and Dove are going to be out doing their own show, which, like you said, I can't really see lasting too long.
Right.
Pare it down a little bit, have them actually be Titans, and then slowly introduce like Raven. Like I can't think of the show, but there's shows that do like at the end like a 2-minute, whatever it is, like a side story or whatever, like kind of like the flashbacks with Arrow, I guess, even though that was sprinkled throughout the episode. But or just like lump it all in at the end. See Raven and what she's doing on Themyscira or something like that. But I like the show. I would like it to continue, but I want it to continue better because obviously I'm a big Batman fan. I really like Nightwing in the comics. I like this guy who's playing Nightwing. I think he actually does the character justice. Definitely
Agreed.
the best of the three because we've only gotten Chris O'Donnell and Burt Ward, right? The 1960s actor who did Robin. So obviously not much competition in the serious arena, but I think it's got a lot of potential. And if they just tighten things up and, like we said before, have a plan, have your individual episodes that, okay, this is, we're going to do a side episode here or, devote some time from this episode here to do a side story or whatever. But each episode of season 2 just felt so separated and not making sense that it killed me. And also, for God's sakes, put their masks on. That's what gets me. Even in like obviously Marvel did away with it right away, but like in some of the other movies, I can't think of an example right now. It's like, for God's sakes, put your mask on, or TV shows, I should say. Put your mask on, pay more attention. The Raimi Spider-Man movies, that's what I was thinking of. He takes his mask off way too much in that movie. Like, I understand it getting damaged, and the one time it was on fire, but still, that thing is off way too much, and especially now, because like I guess again early 2000s for the Raimi movies there wasn't as much surveillance, but now like Cadman in Titans, they have Dove with her mask off in the final fight. it's just like, I guess, a big joke that everybody knows who Dick Grayson is, so they must know who Batman is, which makes no sense because why hasn't Lex Luthor moved on that type of deal?
Mm-hmm.
So,
It,
so
it,
that's it for DC. I don't want. Clearly, I can get lost in a tangent. So,
no, I like it. And the part that frustrates me is you have that idea, which is awesome, and I like kind of that element of have him starting this team. They get jacked up by Deathstroke, and then it's like, why did even they could have been one thing where Deathstroke says something about I told you not to form another team again, and then after
yeah,
after they're recovering and they're like, what is he talking about another team? The season is a flashback to the first time that Dick Grayson had a team.
yeah,
But it to me, one, I get angry because I'm like, we're just fans and we think of this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, you have people who actually get paid to write it and they can't think
yeah,
of things that
exactly.
good. But two, I'm like, I can't tell if it's because they're rushing it, like they need a new season every year, or if they're like, maybe we can. I don't remember if it was on DC or not. I was talking about it, where it's like maybe they're trying to think accuracy by napalm. Let's just dump so many characters in these shows. Maybe one of them will stick and we'll run with it. But the thing is, you already have characters that people like, and you just keep adding more and more, and it's too much. Like there's too many people for us to try to care about. Not enough plot on them, and you actually do have decent story, but it's just buried in this mess of like we got to do this. We have to do the Saved by the Bell angle, the Dawson's Creek type of thing. I love you. I don't love you. You're dead. Like they just bury an actual good potential story with all this BS to try to attract like the mass audience, as opposed to just trying to get the fan base going.
Yeah, exactly. And also, uh, really end it after this if you want. Uh, them just like the whole season, Deathstroke owns these guys, right?
Right.
Anytime he held his own against Starfire. Well, maybe I'm remembering that wrong, but whatever. He
No,
didn't
he did.
die when
He
Starfire
fought
blasted him with
Starfire
Kraven's
and
fireball.
yeah, he fought Starfire and Grayson. No mask on, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, no mask on. Well, I mean, whatever. If the guy knows your identity and it's Deathstroke, because even in the comics, like he obviously Deathstroke. Well, I'm pretty sure in the well, excuse me. I don't know what version because I'm out of comics now because life.
Yeah.
But in the version of DC I was reading in this back in the early 2000s, Deathstroke knew who all the Bat family were. He knew because he had that history with in the comics in the 70s with Jericho being killed while he was a member of the Teen Titans. So him and Grayson have a real history, kind of, and I like that because they have it. They showed that in the show a little bit. It's really expanded upon in some version of DC that's out there. But like you said, it was like they have no point, they have no plan because all of a sudden, like all season long, these guys are barely holding their own, blah blah blah, and then you just stab him to death. His kid stabs him to death, and I think you mentioned in the other video he does. I'm pretty sure have a healing factor,
Yeah.
but still, it's just like again, like that episode, I like the last episode. I was like getting hopeful, getting hopeful. That fight was pretty good, and then the way they ended it, I was like, what? And then when they jumped to the fair or to the circus or whatever that final fight was with Superboy, same thing. What? We're just jumping around again. We're just saying to hell with it. Anything goes. And then they should have ended it. They didn't have to kill Donna. Like I was kind of okay with it again. At the point where at the point before the whatever fell and she gets electrocuted, like if you end it there, okay, fine. You got enough hope to get into season 3, but now I'm just like I'm gonna watch it, just hoping it gets better. But I'm watching it, not expecting much.
Yeah. No.
And anytime you want to cancel that app, you let me know.
And that's the crappy part about it. It's like you're in a certain way too. You're just waiting for it to fail. Like you just know at a certain point they're gonna just lose it. I think we just I think what we really just need out of DC is they need their own version of Dave Filoni. They need
Yes.
somebody to like run a show that nobody has any faith in, but they're like, you know what? We're going to give you this little thing over here. Just aim it for kids or whatever, sell some toys and make it good. And to me, I'm like, bring back any of the writing team from Justice League Unlimited or Batman the Animated Series. Like those were all fantastic shows. Bring those
Yeah.
people back and let them help you do this, because right now I'm actually jumping around Justice League Unlimited episodes. Like I'm not watching it straight through. I'm just like, oh, I like that episode. I'll watch this. I'll watch that. And that's a perfect example of a show where, in a certain way, there is a story, but it's not that real important. You can jump around easily, and each story, even though it might be one episode or maybe a 2 episode arc, has a lot of heart to it, and they get you to care about, like, the episode with Hawk and Dove. Like, that was my first intro to Hawk and Dove, and it was
Yeah.
actually pretty good. And you got
Yeah.
across what they're about, what each person stands for, how their dynamic is, how they match up with the team. So much was accomplished in just that one show that was aimed at kids. And it's like, just give some of these people the chance to do a live action and see if they can pull it off.
Yeah. No, I agree. And actually, yeah, I forgot about that episode until you just reminded me. Yeah,
Huh.
She's very into violence on Titans. Dove.
Yeah.
Like I know she'll help. Like she was very soft and helpful for Rachel. She's there for a victim.
Right.
But like when they
Season
show her
2 was so different.
being not bloodthirsty, but she was ready for a fight. She
Yeah.
had to keep going back out in the suit in the second season.
Yep.
She was ready. I mean, granted, she was saving Hawk, but she fucked those guys up in the warehouse in season 1.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Meanwhile, yeah, in the comics, I think too, he was very reluctant to fight, or it was kind of like all like deflecting your blows in a fight, and you would just knock yourself out, not like beat you up like Hawk wanted to.
And that was the whole point. The whole point was there was this dynamic of one is more peaceful than the other. And that's
the Hawk
that's
and
the
Dove.
secret that makes them work. And it's like they, even in writing the show, it's like they forgot or just had no idea. I don't know which one it is. But the one thing I did want to discuss, because I know you want to talk about it, and we'll kind of, I guess, fly through it. So Rise of Skywalker. I swore
Okay.
that on my own I would not talk about it on this channel anymore, because I can never find anything good to say about it. But I would talk about it in collaboration with somebody else. So
Okay.
you saw it after I did, and I feel like when we had first talked about it, you said you liked it, and then as you were talking your way through it, that kind of started to change, maybe. So now that you're about a week and a half or 2 weeks removed from watching the movie, I guess the first question I would ask is, did you like the movie? And the second question I've been asking everybody is, did you think when the credits rolled, did you say to yourself, I just watched a great ending to the Skywalker saga?
Definitely no on 2. I did not think that at all. That it was a great end to the Star Wars to the Skywalker saga, because Star Wars will never end.
Right.
And if they pausing real quick, if it never ends, but they have people like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in charge, because they're doing great on The Mandalorian. I think again, I talked with you, or I talked to one of our other nerd friends. I heard I don't know how true it is, oh, they're going to make those two, like, for Star Wars' world, universe, and material, what Kevin, I can never pronounce his last name, Feige is for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. What he is for Marvel. Great, because The Mandalorian, as you know, I haven't watched your reviews, actually, excuse me, but I feel like just through our text, you're a big fan of it. That's great. He's, and again, those two know what they're doing with Star Wars just based on that one show. So if they took it over from there, perfect. Yeah, it definitely was. I didn't care for it as a way to wrap up a 40-year story about the Skywalker family. Same thing, like on the second viewing, when I kind of just, because I actually I think I told you, I ended up seeing this thing like almost two and 3/4 times, because the very first time a fire alarm went off with about an hour to go, and then saw it a second time all the way through, and then saw it the second full time with our other buddy who couldn't make it to the fire alarm incident. Yeah, on the second and whatever, the second and third times I saw it, if I just shut my brain off, I was like, okay, it's, well, excuse me, the second time I saw it fully, I shut my brain off and I just enjoyed it. Because, compared to The Last Jedi, space battles, the visuals, I mean, even with Last Jedi, it was a beautifully shot movie. They both look really good versus, I think I said when Last Jedi came out, that was the year I think Justice League came out. And I think I had a conversation with somebody where I was like, you know what? I believed I was in space. I believed I saw a ship, light speed ram another ship. All these things I believed. In Justice League, I didn't believe they were standing on a roof or standing in a field in Kansas.
Yeah, it looked heavily
So
CGI'd.
it was, yeah. But I mean, but in any case, like, just not trying to rag on it the whole time. For Rise of Skywalker, yeah, the second time, if I just shut myself off, shut my brain off, my critical brain off, and enjoyed it, I was like, okay, yeah, a lot of lightsabers, some stuff. Like, there's some stuff I could enjoy from it. Like, I don't hate Rey and Kylo Ren. There's stuff about it I would change, but I think I've told you this. I've kind of just, like, decided because this is it. We're not getting any more Skywalker, supposedly. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Until something with Sebastian Stan shows up on Disney Plus.
I would love that.
Because that man is a ringer for Mark Hamill, isn't he?
Yep.
What do you call it? I just pretend certain parts of it. I've edited it in my own brain, and I'm like, okay, well, this is it. It's the best we're gonna get. I like the way it was shot. I like some of the stuff. I've heard rumors, actually, from another channel, that there's, like, kind of like there's a Snyder cut of Justice League. There's an Abrams cut of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, super long.
Which would be a whole nother conversation. But that, like, I'm sure you've heard about it. You've heard this stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
No, yeah, I have.
Yeah. Yeah. So if half the stuff on that is true, that'd be interesting. Because I think I definitely told you when, should I say spoilers again? Whatever, spoilers. At the end of the movie, when Palpatine says, I am all the Sith, and she says, I am all the Jedi. I think there's something in that thing, in that text that I saw, which is what I said to you, what I said to our other friend, which is I was expecting all the Force ghosts. I was expecting some sort of Sith, like, for somehow make it work. Like a bunch of Force ghosts, a bunch of Jedi ghosts, either help her fight Palpatine one-on-one, or he manifests some Sith ghosts or something. I was expecting that to be like a huge, kind of like Clone Wars, Jedi battle duel in the arena, or throughout Clone. I was expecting something like that. So it was kind of cool to see on that list that, like, yeah, that was kind of supposed to happen. That was shot, or at least partially shot. So that was cool. Yeah, but to save another rant, in wrapping up a 40-year-old story, did not like it. To just enjoy it after I shut my brain off, I can enjoy it. I won't go out and pay for it a fourth time, but I'll leave it on. I would be more prone to watch that than Last Jedi. Let's put it like that.
And it's funny because Last Jedi, I've actually forced myself, and no pun intended there, to attempt. I forced myself to watch it multiple times, because I'm like, maybe I'm just not looking at it the right way, like, which is stupid to say about a movie. That's what has to be done. So with the Rise of Skywalker, one, I think that's why, like, it's not making as much money, is because people aren't multi-viewing it. But it's one of those where, like you said, there's potentially a longer cut to it, but unlike Batman, I don't think it's going to flush out anything else. Like they're not going to, maybe the Chewbacca thing, there's more space in between that, or maybe with Kylo fighting to get the Sith holocron, maybe there's more of that fight scene. But I just don't think that they can fit any other story in there that makes the overall story make sense. Because even going into it, yes, there's the good guys versus the bad guys. And The Last Jedi tried to make it so, like, nobody's good and nobody's bad. Everybody's just out for themselves. That was the whole point of that movie. But
yeah,
going into the last movie, I didn't know what were they fighting for. Like, I didn't understand why anything was happening. And Rey had already defeated Kylo in 2 movies in a row. So I was like, well, I don't. She's not going to lose now. And Snoke's dead. And I just didn't. To me, going into it, I didn't know what the point of the movie was. It's a conclusion of a story. It's a conclusion of a trilogy. And going back to what we started on, it felt like a standalone thing. I think you could show somebody this movie, and you not have to watch anything else,
Yeah,
which is a problem.
actually, yeah. It is a problem because it doesn't. I mean, not that it has to, but it doesn't reference any of the past movies really. I mean, and if it does, it only mentions the original 4, 5, and 6 trilogy, and even then, in the barest of mentions, kind of, like Lando being back was cool, but he should have been back in the first one. It should have been him, Han, and Chewie trudging around looking for the Falcon. And then because I'm not hating on Lando. I'm happy he was in it, but he didn't really do anything for the story. No. I mean, yeah, okay, him and Chewie went off and got help somehow magically. I think somebody even made a comment. It's like, how come Lando Calrissian is more of a rallying cry
than
Leia Organa?
Yep.
Yep. Like comparing the two, who the hell is he compared to her? In the galactic standing setting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. For whatever reason, they wanted to wrap up the Skywalker story, and that's why they did it like that. I mean, it could have been it could have been 2 trilogies. This could have been the Rise of the First Order, and then the next trilogy could have been, the end of the Skywalker saga, where they try to fight. End the First Order, end Palpatine. Maybe the third episode 9 ends with the reveal of Palpatine being alive, and the next 3 movies cover that somehow, make it interesting. My main thing is I still just hate what they did with Luke.
Yeah.
So, and The Last Jedi did kind of redeem it a bit, but excuse me, not The Last Jedi. The Rise of Skywalker, his 5 seconds as a Force ghost redeems it a bit.
It's 5 seconds in the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and her picking that name, again, I'm not hating on her, but it's like you have more of an emotional connection to Han Solo. Yeah. You know what I mean? And Leia Organa. Luke was a dick to you for an entire movie, for however long she was on that planet. And then I'm sure she was told about it, but you didn't even see him, his projection fighting not fighting, but distracting the First Order. You didn't have any interaction with him in the cave, which wouldn't have made sense for her to magically get into the cave, but I guess force teleportation. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? It's the rise of Solo, if anything, because, the name doesn't necessarily mean anything to you. Solo means more to you than Skywalker. Skywalker, yeah, it has the legacy of blah, 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 but again, it wasn't Leia Skywalker, it was Leia Solo or Organa that trained you. Luke Skywalker was a crusty old dick to you. Phrasing. Did not mean it like that. Sorry.
It's true. No.
Okay, moving on.
That is all accurate. No, I think I agree with everything you're saying there. And it's, like I said, at a certain point, the part that I guess I look forward to the most in all of this is all the YouTubers and podcasters that built their careers on bashing Star Wars. It's like, yeah, you were right. It sucks now. And it's like, now what content are they possibly going to make? That to me, that's way more interesting than anything in the story, is what will the angry channel people have to talk about now that there's no Star Wars. It's all done.
Yeah.
Awesome. But I guess just to wrap it up, one last thing. And I'll make it quick. Just quickly, of the new movies coming out. I
can't guarantee I will, but go ahead.
You can't what? Oh.
I said I can't guarantee I'll make it quick because I get off on a rant. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fair. So of the movies coming out this year, because there's a lot, and the part that I like the most is they're all actually female-led. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
Can we list them real quick so I don't miss any? There's Black Widow.
Yep. And then
Birds of Prey.
Yep. And then Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay, so of those 3, I'm more excited for Black Widow of those 3. Just 'cause, I really want to see where they go with Wonder Woman. Because I want to see the second movie, but also because I'm curious. I think the DC shared universe is dead for now.
Mm-hmm.
But and granted, it's set in the '80s, so even if it was the world of Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice, that's they're both he's a kid. They're both kids at that point, so
Right.
whatever. But I am curious to just see it and like see what sort of seeds they plant going forward. But I liked Wonder Woman, the first one, so I'm very excited to see that. But I've really wanted a Black Widow movie for a while, and it sucks that and who knows what sort of Easter eggs or clues it'll lead to the future. But even if it's just a standalone, I want to see her character get her due, and I think she should have been the first Marvel solo movie, like or excuse me, solo female movie. But the time for that would have been after would have been in the time period it's set in, like after Civil War.
Yeah.
They should have. That would have been the time to drop it, and then that could have even led into. I mean, granted, I guess because the contracts were ending, they had to wrap everything up. Like, imagine a Nomad and Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Oh,
and
that
then
was so dope.
That in that movie could even, like, timeline wise, could have woven into Infinity War, because Infinity War, they're just there. They don't really they have the last battle, obviously, but the bulk of the movie isn't about them, which is fine. That movie potentially could have been, here's what's going on, and then kind of like, do you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Only the first season.
Okay, well, when Infinity War was going on, in the background, kind of tying everything in again, you'd hear in the news, like, Iron Man, I don't remember if they called him Iron Man or Tony Stark or whatever, but they made, like, he disappeared into a spaceship over New York, and, and I think they may have said, like, there's some sort of fight happening somewhere in Africa, but the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were dealing with their own thing. Little things like that to tie it all together. I'm gonna see the Harley Quinn movie. I'm least excited for that because I just don't know what it's gonna be, and it seems, I don't know. Suicide Squad just kind of left like a weird taste in my mouth from that, and I think she was a really good Harley, but I just don't know. I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm not as excited about it, just because I don't know what they're going to do with it, where they're going to go with it. It seems like they're going to have a lot to tie up because Jared Leto is not the Joker anymore. Ben Affleck's not Batman, but they're set in Gotham. The characters are different versions of the characters, which is fine, but I don't know. It seems like the story might be weird. It's like, I think from what I understand, it's Black Mask is obsessed with Harley Quinn for whatever reason. So it'd be if they make it more than a movie where he just wants her as a trophy piece. If there's some sort of reason to it, beyond, I want her because he was Joker's whatever, so now she's gonna be mine as a status. And I don't know. I don't know. From what I've seen, it just hasn't intrigued me.
Yeah, I've got zero faith in that movie. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll watch it.
For whatever I'm seeing, I'm not like Wonder Woman. Like, sorry to cut you off, by the way. Wonder Woman, I'm like, yeah, all right, and like it looks like it'll be funny, and it looks like it'll be serious, and her standing in the armor in the posters I've seen looks badass. Black Widow, I feel, and like the trailer with Red Guardian, right? That's who the Russian Captain America is supposed to be.
Yep.
That scene in the trailer, that's great. That got me pumped. I've watched the trailer a few times, wanting to get excited for Harley Quinn, but it just hasn't happened. I'll go, but I'm not expecting much.
No.
So what about you?
No, both of those are actually what you said exactly what I was thinking. Those are the exact. That's what I'm slightly more towards Wonder Woman just because I don't know, for whatever reason I've always been more of a DC mark than Marvel, so I think that's the only reason I'm slightly more into that. But I think at the end of the day, I am still more excited for Black Widow because I have more faith in that movie than I do the other two.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have faith in Wonder Woman. I've wanted to see a Black Widow movie in general for a while, so that's why I'm like, oh, okay, cool, it's finally happening. Like, Wonder Woman I want to see, I'm excited for it because the first one was very good.
Right.
But just for the length of time I've wanted Black Widow 2, sorry. For the length of time I've wanted a Black Widow movie, that outweighs my excitement for Wonder Woman 2.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Cool.
how did you like your first podcast experience?
It was great. Kind of just like talking, and we just recorded it, so
Yeah,
we'll see if I like hearing myself on playback on YouTube.
there you go.
Or is this shit? Yeah.
No, it'll be on YouTube on Friday. It'll be on all the podcast platforms tomorrow.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, before you go, this is a part where I usually will ask if there's anything you wanted to promote, plug, or tell people to find you on anything. That is up to you.
I have a very good friend who does a YouTube channel. His name is HeyArcher. Like and subscribe to him. Very good content.
I heard he's a piece of shit, but I guess I'll give it a look.
I mean, form your own opinions. Don't trust the critics.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thanks for being my second guest on my show. This is, again, HeyArcher 178 for all of you. Don't forget, if you are watching this on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And you can hit the bell down below so you get notified when all the new episodes come out. And for all of you listening to the audio only, make sure you leave reviews. Make sure you subscribe on your respective platforms because they actually drop first on audio during the week on the YouTube channel. So thanks again, Anthony, for being here. Thanks all of you for listening and watching. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.
Take care. Thank you.